Protests began in the region. Students have begun to leave the city streets and social order is gradually returning to normal. The local police held a press conference on Thursday saying those participating in the Occupy movement could be violating the law and warning they could be prosecuted.
Those who occupy the streets are violating the law. The police have the responsibility to investigate the case. Everyone, regardless of their profession and status, is equal under the law. If they violate the law, they could be prosecuted.
Meanwhile, Hong Kong Chief Executive Leung Chong-ing wrote a letter to the editor of the New York Times saying that any suggestion that the Chinese government is interfering in the current electoral reform debate is unfounded. Leung noted that Hong Kong's future electoral, economic and social development is a natural and legitimate concern of the Chinese central government. He emphasized that both the Joint Declaration and the Basic Law state that the winner of a chief executive election will be appointed by Beijing. And he said nobody in Hong Kong or abroad for that matter can ignore Beijing's legal authority. Areas of Hong Kong are still paralyzed by the protests that began on September 28th. The demonstrations have put a dent into the business of local shops and banks. His week-long European tour. This is his second visit to Germany since he took office last year. In Berlin, the premier will co-chair the China-Germany governmental consultations with Chancellor Angela Merkel, and he's also scheduled to attend the Hamburg summit, which over 500 political and business leaders will attend, making it the largest Chinese-European business meeting ever held. Li Keqiang's three-nation European tour will also take him to Russia and Italy, where he will attend the 10th Asia-Europe meeting in Milan.
It's the second visit this year to the European Union by China's Premier Li Keqiang, having already signed multi-billion-dollar deals while in Greece and Britain last June.
China realizes how important the European Union is. It's the biggest market for Chinese exports, and they have a big interest in ensuring that China and the EU maintain good relations. I think you want an update too on the new EU leadership that's taking place.
This time, the first stop is Germany.
Germany is far and away China's biggest trade partner in the EU, and also if you look at investment from the EU into China, then Germany is far and away the biggest investor.
In his meeting with Chancellor Angela Merkel, Li will want to know what Germany is doing to halt its unexpected economic slowdown, as well as pursue deals in areas like green technology. Germany will seek greater investment access to China, as well as an update on how Beijing plans to maintain strong economic growth. Premier Li will then attend a two-day Europe-China summit here in Hamburg, before travelling to Russia, where he plans to sign more than 30 agreements on finance, energy and high-speed rail projects. Russia is also expected to be a talking point here in Europe, where tensions remain high over the crisis in Ukraine, though Li Keqiang is expected to maintain China's current neutral diplomatic position. Premier Li's tour wraps up in Italy, where he will attend a major EU-Asia summit that could draw up to 55 heads.
Affecting large parts of North China, as well as the northwest Shanxi province since Wednesday. The air pollution index has reached hazardous levels in the cities of Beijing and Tianjin, as well as Hebei and Henan provinces. In the capital, dozens of highways have been temporarily closed due to low visibility. Students have been warned to avoid outdoor activities and reduce their physical exertion. Meanwhile, in Hebei, local authorities have temporarily closed over 13 highway sections due to reduced visibility. They've also suspended all industrial production activities that could generate more dust. Since Wednesday, PM 2.5 air particle levels in several major cities in Hebei province have been over 400, a hazardous level. But while most people have been trying to avoid the outdoors as much as possible, the Beijing News reported that in Handan City in Hebei province, students had to write their final exams in the smog on the school's playing field. A teacher from the school told the newspaper that because of a shortage of classrooms, they had no choice. The weather authorities say a cold front is expected to arrive Saturday night and disperse the smog. But as winter approaches, air quality may get even worse because most cities use coal for heating. Premier Li will visit the UN Food and Agricultural Organization headquarters in Rome and attend the 10th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit in Milan. Our reporter Su Yuting has more.
Chinese Premier Li Keqiang is set to start his second European tour this year, visiting Germany, Russia and Italy. Li will also attend the Asia-Europe Meeting Summit in Milan for the first time since taking office. The trip will see more efforts by China to push for deeper cooperation and mutual trust between Asia and Europe.
At the invitation of the European Council President Herman Van Rompuy, Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi, and the European Commission President José Manuel Barroso, Premier Li Keqiang will attend the 10th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit and relevant activities in Milan, Italy from October the 16th to the 17th. The theme of the summit is Responsible Partnership for Growth and Security. There will be sessions held on promoting financial and economic cooperation through enhanced Europe-Asia connectivity, on establishing a Europe-Asia partnership to address global matters in an interconnected world, and enhancing dialogue and cooperation between Europe and Asia and the future direction of ASEAN.
In Italy, Li will also pay a visit to the FAO headquarters for the first time, showing that China attaches great importance to international cooperation in non-traditional security fields. Germany will become the only country that Li has visited twice since taking office in March 2013.
Germany is China's biggest European partner in trade, investment, and technological cooperation. The bilateral trade volume last year exceeded $160 billion. Chinese President Xi Jinping visited the European economic powerhouse in March, which was followed by a tour by Chancellor Angela Merkel to China 4 months later. China and Germany have been seeing intensive top-level exchanges.
During his stay in Russia, Li Keqiang will attend the 19th China-Russia Prime Ministers regular meeting and a forum with the theme of open innovation.
More than 50 mutually beneficial agreements will be signed. The two sides will reach a new consensus in the areas of energy, high-speed railways, and finance, and they will inject new impetus to the development of the China-Russia Comprehensive Strategic Partnership of Coordination.
The relations with major powers are always cornerstones of China's diplomacy. Premier Li Keqiang's tour to Germany, Russia and Italy aims to promote pragmatic cooperation through intensive interaction, and the visit is expected to bring a broader perspective to the stability and development in Asia and Europe. Su Yuting, CCTV, Beijing.
Meeting with representatives of the Occupy Central students on Friday afternoon. Meanwhile, its Legislative Council has postponed a council meeting for a week. Nie Jia has more details.
In the latest to Hong Kong's protest, Lau Kung-wah, the Undersecretary for Constitutional Affairs, said the SAR government and student representatives will meet this Friday. Both sides will send 5 members in what is likely to be the first of many meetings in what authorities hope will alleviate tensions and any further demonstrating. The meeting will discuss 2 issues: the constitutional basis of political development and the legal provision of political development. This comes even as protester numbers have dwindled on the streets, sometimes only to pressures from elsewhere.
Some fathers are against their sons and daughters for taking to the streets, and their children will say, "I'll disown you and leave the family."
The head of Hong Kong's legislative body has announced postponing a council meeting for at least a week out of concern that some protesters would block access to the government complex and incite a confrontation.
Because the entrance to the car park at the Legislative Council building for officials and council members cannot be secured, they would need to walk to the building, and there are concerns for their safety.
The decision comes as thousands of demonstrators remain camped around the city's bustling areas. Areas of Hong Kong are still paralyzed by the protest that began on September the 28th, putting a dent to businesses of local shops and banks. Nie Jia, CCTV.
And for the latest situation from Hong Kong, we now go live to our reporter Li Jiejun. Well, Jiejun, according to some reports, we are seeing some thinner crowd today at the demonstration sites. So, and also people's lives are getting back to normal. So is that what you have observed in Hong Kong?
Yes, the city is recovering gradually. Protest signs in Mongke and Causeway Bay were largely calm today, and the number of the demonstrators keeps falling as many student protesters have been back to the universities. Protesters relaxed the blockades of some key roads, but a few hundred remained camped out on the roads leading into the government headquarters. The Legislative Council's first post-summer meeting, scheduled for today, postponed for a week amid safety concerns. The government has asked the crowd to clear a passage for vehicles to enter the complex, while primary and secondary schools reopened, and kindergartens in the affected districts will also resume tomorrow. So in this case, the city is edging towards normality. Mama.
And Jejun, we also understand that the Anti-Occupy Central Alliance has held a press conference this afternoon. What more details can you tell us from that press conference?
Yeah, the Anti-Occupy Central campaign held a press conference this afternoon. The spokesman Robert Chow said that the protests have affected over 1 million people's daily lives. He said Hong Kong was a good place and the protesters should not turn it into hell. While as the Anti-Occupy Central voice is getting louder, some protesters still insist on staying. One protester even set up a bed at the protest site to dig in for the long term. Earlier, I spoke to Elsie Liang, the vice chairwoman of the Basic Law Committee. She's also the first Secretary of Justice of the Hong Kong SAR. She said these protesters could take legal liability. Elsie, you are a recognized law expert in Hong Kong. How do you see the Occupy Central movement? Is it illegal?
Occupy Central movement is what the campaigner believe will be able to achieve their goal, that is to have universal suffrage conducted in the only form which they wish to have. It means obstructing the highway and obstructing the government buildings and the compounds, and also they will be conducting unlawful assembly in this area. That, of course, are illegal. These are offences under the Summary Offences Ordinance, Road Traffic Ordinance, the Public Order Ordinance, and if violence should break out, that will also cause damage, injury to people, and that would be against the offences against the person's ordinance.
So what kind of consequences will the organizers and the participants face?
Convictions under this ordinance would bring about a fine from $500 to $10,000, or imprisonment from 1 month to 1 year, or even longer.
Hong Kong is a lawful society, but why do so many people attend such illegal protests?
It's true that the Hong Kong people respect the rule of law, but many participate in the demonstration because they have a wrong understanding of one country, two systems. They thought that Hong Kong could be solely in charge of our political reform, which is not so. I mean, Hong Kong is a special administrative region under the rule of Central People's Government. Our high degree of autonomy is simply a matter of delegation. So the political reform is one of the matters for which Central People's Government has a stake. While others do so for political agenda. Still others, they were sympathizers of the students. They thought that the students are peaceful demonstrators and you should not use pepper spray and tear gas on them. So they all attend for various reasons. Of course, insofar as the students are concerned, they are passionate, but at the same time, they do not fully understand the issue. And they are also influenced by, for example, foreign forces which will use hegemony to wish to dominate the world.
The protests have dwindled but continue. In your opinion, how can the current standoff be ended?
The demonstrators wish to be heard. They have been heard. And I think that they should calm down. The public should also calm down and exercise tolerance and patience. They should sit down together and have a dialogue. The government promised that they would be ready to meet with the demonstrators, meet with the representatives, and conduct a dialogue to see how the matters could be taken forward. I think they should use this opportunity to achieve what they wish, and should not cause any further disturbance to the public.